The Four Agreements. Part 1. Be impeccable with your word. A MindShift Chronicles 4-part series. Your word is not just sound. It's not just communication. It is the force that shapes the way you see yourself, the way you experience life, and the way you move through the world. Every sentence you speak is a brushstroke on the canvas of your reality. Some words heal. Some words harm. Some words free you. Some words silently close the doors of your own potential. Most people never realize they're practicing a form of magic every day, casting spells with their voice, strengthening or weakening their own power one sentence at a time. This is why the first agreement is the foundation of the entire path. Because if you change the way you speak, especially the way you speak to yourself, your entire life begins to shift. Welcome to MindShift Chronicles. Walk with us into deeper awareness. Conscience. Content warning. What you're about to hear may reveal the quiet ways you've spoken against yourself, the hidden ways your words have limited you, restricted you, or disconnected you from your own potential. Take your time. Listen slowly. Let this message reach the part of you that's ready to grow. Part 1. This is the beginning of a 4-part journey through the 4 agreements. Each episode builds on the last, guiding you deeper into clarity, freedom, and inner strength. Today, we start with the agreement that makes all the others possible. Be impeccable with your word. Section 1. Your word creates your reality. To understand this agreement, you must understand something simple but life-changing. Your word directs your mind, and your mind shapes your experience of life. When you repeatedly say, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," "I always fail," that's just who I am. Your subconscious accepts those words as instructions. It begins scanning your life for evidence to confirm the story you're speaking. But the opposite is also true. Speak with clarity and your mind becomes clearer. Speak with confidence and your nervous system strengthens. Speak with awareness and your entire reality reorganizes itself around the direction of your voice. Impeccability means recognizing this power and using it consciously. Section 2. The inner voice. You don't notice. We tend to think of words as the things we say out loud. But the most important words are the ones you whisper to yourself in private moments. When you're alone, when you're stressed, when you make a mistake, when you look in the mirror. Your inner dialogue is the blueprint for your identity. If you speak to yourself with shame, you shrink. If you speak to yourself with fear, you weaken. If you speak to yourself with doubt, you hesitate when life demands action. But if you speak to yourself consciously, honestly, kindly, and with presence, you grow, you stabilize. You become stronger from the inside out. Being impeccable with your word begins here, with the way you speak when no one else is listening. Section 3. The agreements. You didn't know you made your life is shaped by agreements you never consciously agreed to. I need to be perfect. I can't upset people. I should hide who I really am. I'm unlovable unless I perform. I'm not as smart as others. These beliefs didn't start with you. They were absorbed, modeled, or repeated until they became truth. But they are only words spoken often enough that they hardened into identity. Impeccability is the process of noticing these agreements, interrupting them, and choosing new ones. It's not about lying to yourself or forcing positivity. It's about speaking from clarity instead of conditioning. Section 4. The power of restraint. Impeccability is not only what you say, it's also what you choose not to say. Angry impulses, sharp reactions, gossip, judgment, self-doubt, catastrophizing. Most of the time, the most powerful use of your word is silence. Silence gives you space to respond instead of react, to observe instead of attack, to understand instead of defend. Silence protects your integrity when your emotions are loud. And in that pause, your awareness can choose a more conscious response. Section 5. The hidden poison of gossip. Gossip is one of the most socially accepted forms of self-betrayal. It feels harmless on the surface, a way to connect, to share stories, to bond. But energetically, gossip lowers your frequency. Every time you speak against someone else, you train your subconscious to judge yourself with the same harshness. It creates internal instability because your subconscious registers that your integrity is conditional. Truth when convenient, silence when pressured, judgment when bored. When you stop engaging in gossip, you strengthen your inner foundation. You rise in frequency, you rise in presence, you rise in self-respect. Impeccability elevates you, quietly, consistently, and powerfully. Section 6. Words that strengthen you. There are certain words that act like medicine to the soul. I am learning. I can grow. I am capable. I am worthy of my own respect. I am allowed to take up space. Not because they're cliches, but because they're true at the deepest level. These kinds of words don't inflate your ego. They stabilize your identity. They bring you back to the grounded truth of your own potential. When your words align with truth, your inner world aligns with strength. Section 7. Repairing the relationship with yourself. Impeccability is ultimately about repairing your relationship with your own being. It's choosing not to speak to yourself in ways that break your spirit. It's choosing words that support your growth, your direction, and your inner peace. You do not need to speak perfectly. You do not need to speak poetically. You only need to speak consciously, with awareness of how your words affect your own heart. When you treat your voice as a tool instead of a weapon, self-respect grows, confidence grows, your inner world stabilizes, your nervous system becomes grounded, your word becomes a companion, not a threat. Section 8. Emotional honesty without harm. To be impeccable with your word does not mean you must be quiet, polished, or eternally calm. It means you express honestly without using your voice to wound yourself or others. You can say, I'm hurting. I need space. I don't agree. That crossed a boundary. Impeccability is not silence. It's clarity. It's the ability to speak truth without aggression, defense, or blame. When you speak this way, you communicate from strength, not from woundedness, and people respond differently. Conversations become cleaner, conflicts dissolve faster, misunderstandings shrink. Your word becomes a tool for connection instead of conflict. Section 9. The nervous system responds to your voice. Every word you speak directly affects your nervous system. If you repeatedly tell yourself you're overwhelmed, your body responds as if you're in danger. If you say you're failing, your physiology collapses. If you speak hopelessly, your brain reduces motivation to conserve energy because it believes the outcome is pointless. Your voice literally changes your state. But when you speak consciously, with honesty, confidence, and grounded truth, your entire system shifts, your breathing deepens, your chest relaxes, your attention stabilizes, your energy rises. This is why impeccability is not merely spiritual, it's biological. You're not just talking to yourself, You're instructing your body on how to feel and how to function. Section 10. Removing the hidden cost of negative speech. Every time you speak against yourself, you pay a price. Sometimes it's small, a dip in confidence, a moment of hesitation, a subtle tightening in your body. But over time, negative speech becomes expensive. It drains mental energy. It increases anxiety. It lowers motivation. It erodes self-trust. It creates a constant background tension you learn to call normal. This is why impeccability is not about being nice. It's about being aligned with the truth of who you are and who you are becoming. You don't need flawless speech. You need accurate speech. Truth strengthens. Fear weakens. Awareness refines. Speak in ways that support your inner world, and the outer world begins to respond differently. Section 11. The shift in identity. Something profound happens when you consistently use your word impeccably. Your identity changes, because your identity is a collection of stories you've repeated for years. Stories about who you are, what you're capable of, and what life expects from you. When you stop repeating limiting stories and begin speaking from truth, your self-image reshapes itself to match your words. You feel different. You act different. You carry yourself different. People notice. Opportunities shift. The world responds to the way you speak about yourself. Your word is the meeting point between who you were and who you are becoming. Impeccability protects the future you are stepping into. Section 12. Your word builds your world. At its core, the first agreement means this: choose your words as if they are building your future, because they are. Speak with clarity. Speak with presence. Speak with self-respect. Speak with awareness of the power your voice carries. Impeccability does not require perfection. It requires consciousness. One honest sentence can change your life. One clear boundary can save your peace. One encouraging phrase can shift your entire mindset. Your word is a tool of creation. Use it to build yourself instead of breaking yourself. Section 13. Being impeccable in daily life. Impeccability isn't something you perform. It isn't dramatic. It isn't loud. It isn't a sudden shift that changes everything overnight. It happens in the small moments when you choose honesty instead of self-criticism. When you pause instead of reacting from emotion. When you speak clearly instead of assuming others should know. When you refrain from tearing yourself down even in your thoughts. These small choices accumulate. They compound. They shape the way you feel and the way you're perceived. Every day gives you dozens of opportunities to be impeccable with your word. And every time you choose consciously, you strengthen the connection between your voice and your truth. This is how self-respect grows, not from grand declarations, but from consistent integrity in the language you use to define your experience. Section 14. The subtle freedom of being impeccable. When you practice impeccability long enough, you begin to feel something unexpected. Freedom. Freedom from the internal judge that once narrated your every move. Freedom from the old beliefs you once treated as unchangeable truths. Freedom from the emotional chaos triggered by careless speech. Freedom from the fear of how others perceive you. Your word becomes clear. Your inner world becomes quiet. Your relationships become cleaner. Your decisions become easier. You're no longer carrying the weight of unnecessary self-criticism or the consequences of unconscious communication. You've created space. Space in your mind, space in your nervous system, space in your life, for clarity to grow. Impeccability is not a rule. It's a form of liberation. Section 15. Returning to yourself. If there is one message at the heart of the first agreement, it is this. Return to yourself through your voice. Use your word to honor who you are, not diminish yourself. Use your word to speak truth instead of fear. Use your word to strengthen instead of weaken. Speak in a way that brings you home to yourself, because your voice is the first tool of creation and the first line of healing. Be intentional, be honest, be aware, be gentle, and above all, be impeccable. Thank you for being here, for listening deeply, and for choosing to walk this path with presence and intention. This is only the first step. The beginning of a 4-part journey into clarity, freedom, and personal power. The next episode dives into the second agreement, a teaching that dissolves misunderstandings, heals emotional reactions at their root, and frees you from the weight of other people's opinions. Join us for Part 2. Don't take anything personally. Until then, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing impeccability in the way you speak to yourself and to the world. We'll see you in the next video. A final bit of wisdom. May your words become the path that leads you back to your true self.